Let's talk about a job that's bigger than most people can imagine: Alberta's oil sands. This is the world's third largest proven oil reserve, over 160 billion barrels of recoverable oil. The oil sands are a cornerstone of Canada's economy, pumping billions into government coffers every year for things like roads, schools, and hospitals. But it's not just about money, it's about people. Hundreds of thousands of jobs, from engineers to truck drivers, and countless more in supporting businesses. The industry's reach extends across the country, supporting families and entire communities. Before we get into the details, remember, this isn't just about oil, but about the economic stability of a nation. It's a massive, complex, and gritty operation that's built prosperity for millions. The oil sands show how human ingenuity can turn a tough resource into the fuel that powers our lives. It's a dirty job, but it's been the foundation of wealth and opportunity for generations. Let's see how it all works. To truly understand oil sands, we need to journey back in time, about 200 million years into the past, when the land we now call Alberta was submerged beneath a vast, shallow inland sea teeming with life. Over millions of years, layer upon layer of ancient plants, algae, and marine creatures settled on the sea floor. These remains were slowly buried by sand and silt, compressed by the weight above, and transformed deep underground into hydrocarbons, what we know as crude oil. But Alberta's story took a unique turn. Geological forces pushed these oil-rich layers closer to the surface, where they were exposed to air and water. Here, naturally occurring microbes feasted on the lighter, more fluid parts of the oil, leaving behind only the heaviest, stickiest substance: bitumen. Bitumen is so dense and viscous, it's often compared to cold molasses. But it's not just pure bitumen, it's mixed together with grains of sand, particles of clay, and traces of water, forming a tough, sticky blend. Today, the oil sands are made up of about 80% sand and rock, 10% bitumen, and the remaining 10% is water and clay, all tightly bound together. This unique combination makes extraction a real challenge. Unlike conventional oil, you can't simply drill a well and pump it out of the ground. Instead, the oil sands must be either dug up from the surface using massive mining equipment, or heated deep underground to make the bitumen flow. All of this takes place in the Western Canadian Sedimentary Basin, a vast region shaped by millions of years of shifting geology and natural processes. Extracting oil here means working with a stubborn, gritty mixture that nature has locked away and protected for eons. It's a complex puzzle, one that has challenged scientists, engineers, and workers for generations, driving them to develop new technologies and creative solutions. That's why the oil sands are not just a technical challenge, but also a testament to human ingenuity, persistence, and determination. So how do we actually get the bitumen out of this stubborn mix? Let's take a closer look at the extraction process. The process is anything but simple, involving a blend of heavy machinery, advanced chemistry, and constant innovation. Getting bitumen out of the ground depends on how deep it is. About 20% of reserves are close enough to the surface for mining. Giant shovels and trucks move mountains of sand to reach the oil. Surface mining is a massive, round-the-clock operation, reshaping the landscape. But 80% of the oil sands are buried too deep for mining. For these, engineers use in-situ extraction, heating the bitumen underground so it can be pumped up. It's like warming honey to make it flow. Surface mining is brute force. In-situ is more surgical, using heat and pressure deep below ground. Both methods require cutting-edge technology and huge investment. Each has its own challenges, but together, they unlock Canada's energy potential. These two approaches are the backbone of oil sands extraction. Let's dive deeper into how in-situ extraction works. The real action happens underground. In-situ extraction is the key to tapping most of Alberta's oil sands. Unlike traditional mining, this method allows us to access deep reserves without disturbing the surface landscape as much. It's a process that takes place far below ground, out of sight, but it's responsible for the majority of oil sands production in the region. The main method is steam-assisted gravity drainage, or SAGD. This innovative technology has transformed how oil is extracted from the sands, making it possible to reach bitumen that would otherwise be inaccessible. Two horizontal wells are drilled, one above the other, deep in the oil sands. These wells can extend for kilometers underground, carefully positioned to maximize contact with the bitumen-rich layers. Steam is injected into the upper well, heating the bitumen and making it flow. The intense heat reduces the viscosity of the thick tar-like bitumen, turning it into a liquid that can be pumped. Gravity pulls the liquefied bitumen down to the lower well, where it's pumped to the surface. This process mimics the way oil naturally migrates underground, but accelerates it dramatically. The mixture of bitumen and water is separated in tanks. Bitumen floats to the top, water is cleaned and recycled. This separation is crucial for both efficiency and environmental management. Over 90% of the water is reused, minimizing the need for fresh water. Advanced treatment systems ensure that water can be cycled back into the process again and again, reducing the environmental footprint. The result is a cleaner, pipeline-ready bitumen, but even after separation, bitumen is still too thick to move easily through pipelines. Because it's still too thick to flow, it's mixed with a light hydrocarbon, condensate, to create diluted bitumen, or dilbit. This blending process is essential for safe and efficient transport. This blend is ready for transport and sale. It can now travel long distances by pipeline or truck to refineries across North America and beyond. SAGD is a technical, efficient way to extract oil without open-pit mining. It leaves a much smaller surface footprint and is less disruptive to the environment above ground. It's a closed-loop system that's constantly being improved. Engineers and scientists are always working to make the process cleaner, safer, and more efficient. The process is complex, but it's revolutionized oil sands production. It represents a leap forward in technology and resource management. Now, let's see what happens after the bitumen is out of the ground, and how it's transformed into products we use every day. Once bitumen is extracted, it can't go straight to your gas tank. It needs processing. There are two main paths: upgrading or dilution. Older surface mines send bitumen froth to upgraders, where heat and pressure break down heavy molecules and remove impurities. The result is synthetic crude oil, or SKO, a high-quality product ready for refineries. Newer mines and in-situ operations usually dilute bitumen with light hydrocarbons, creating dilbit that can flow through pipelines. Upgrading is energy-intensive, but dilution is simpler and more common today. The oil sands now produce both SCO and dilbit, each serving different markets. About 1 million barrels of SCO and 2.5 million barrels of dilbit are produced daily. Both are essential to North America's fuel supply. Next, let's follow these products on their journey to market. Getting oil to buyers means moving it across vast distances, mostly by pipeline. These pipelines snake through forests, prairies, and even under rivers, forming a hidden network that keeps the oil industry running smoothly. Western Canada's 6 major export pipelines are the backbone of the system. They connect remote oil sands projects to refineries and export terminals, making large-scale oil movement possible. About half of synthetic crude oil stays in Canada, supplying domestic refineries and supporting local industries. The rest is shipped to U.S. refineries, especially in the Midwest and Washington state, where it's turned into gasoline, diesel, and other products. Dilbit, produced in much larger volumes, is mostly exported to the U.S., especially the Gulf Coast, home to refineries built for heavy crude. These facilities are specifically designed to handle the unique properties of oil sands crude. These pipelines are the most efficient and safest way to move oil at scale. Advanced monitoring systems and regular inspections help ensure safety and reliability, minimizing the risk of spills. The U.S. is Canada's biggest customer, highlighting the deep integration of North American energy markets. This cross-border trade supports jobs and economic growth on both sides. Canadian oil is a critical input for American refineries, fueling the U.S. economy and helping meet the country's massive energy needs every day. There's growing interest in reaching Asian markets, with new pipelines and shipping terminals under discussion. But for now, most oil heads south, as the U.S. remains the dominant buyer. The journey is long and complex, involving thousands of kilometers of pipe, countless workers, and intricate logistics. But it's essential for both producers and consumers. Pipelines are the arteries of the oil sands industry, keeping the flow of energy constant and reliable. But what happens when there aren't enough pipelines? Oil producers are forced to rely on trains and trucks, which are slower, more expensive, and less safe. That's where the real bottleneck begins. Storage tanks fill up, rail lines get congested, and producers can't get their oil to market efficiently. Let's take a closer look at how these challenges shape the future of oil transportation. Having oil is one thing, getting it to market is another. For years, pipeline capacity hasn't kept up with production, creating a major bottleneck. When pipelines are full, producers turn to rail, which is more expensive and less efficient. This bottleneck leads to a local oversupply and lower prices for Canadian oil, a heavy oil discount. In 2021, the price gap between Alberta's oil and U.S. benchmarks was largely due to transportation limits. The debate over new pipelines is fierce. Some see them as economic lifelines, others as environmental risks. It's a tough issue with no easy answers, but it's central to the industry's future. Without enough pipelines, even the richest oil reserves can't reach their full value. The stakes are high for Canada's economy and environment. The oil sands come with a big environmental footprint, especially greenhouse gas emissions. In 2019, they accounted for about 15% of Canada's total emissions. In-situ operations burn natural gas for steam, mining uses diesel and energy for processing. On a well-to-wheels basis, the most efficient oil sands operations are comparable to the U.S. average barrel. Still, oil sands are generally more carbon-intensive than conventional oil. The industry faces pressure to cut emissions per barrel, even as production grows. Technological improvements have already reduced emissions intensity significantly, but the world demands cleaner energy, and the oil sands must keep innovating. The challenge is ongoing, but progress is real. The industry knows it must change to survive in a low-carbon world. Major producers have formed the Pathways Alliance, pledging net zero emissions from operations by 2050. The centerpiece is carbon capture and storage, capturing CO2 and storing it deep underground. They're also developing new extraction methods, cleaner fuels, and electrified equipment. It's a multi-pronged strategy requiring huge investment and innovation. The task is monumental, but the commitment is real. The oil sands are evolving, balancing energy needs with environmental responsibility. The job is changing, and so are the people doing it.